All right, we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, good evening.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
We are today on Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, and YouTube Live. So if you be so kind and put in the comments that you can see us and hear us, that would be great. I will check on my phone on LinkedIn if it's there.
Wonderful. And as you check, you can see from my background, I'm back in my home in Switzerland, but I spent the last 2 days in Bad Ragaz in Switzerland, which is a beautiful resort town, good wellness center. And I can't wait to tell everyone what I've been doing the last 2 days.
Perfect.
So I
Yeah,
see at least
we have now already LinkedIn. It's connected.
perfect.
Yeah. We have Anthony Předota evening. We can, yeah, perfect.
We are ready.
Yes, is there? Yeah. If somebody from Facebook can say, hey, Facebook is also up and running, I can check even Facebook on my
Facebook in the house.
phone. Yeah. Okay. Ivana is here. She is also our traditional. Yeah. It looks like Facebook is also, up and running. Okie dokie. So we have interesting team today. The power of resilience, navigating life's challenges, and I'll ask Lisa to kick it off.
I'd love to kick it off. And this topic came up at the end of our last session. And Jan and I were saying, my God, we have to talk about endurance like we do in sport, endurance in life. We have to talk about this resilience and this way to move forward. But I actually want to add something here because most of the time I tell my clients, I'm not looking to build your resilience. And there's a reason, as I define resilience, maybe not as everyone else does, but as I define resilience, what that means is you were here, you hit a rough patch, something bad happened, and you want to come back to your baseline. For me, I don't want to be at my baseline, go down, and come back up. What I want to do is go down. In life, you will go down. And then I want to go up from there. I want to be better off for having come through a challenging situation. So, the last 2 days, I've actually been attending a conference where we talked all about what's called post traumatic growth, which I won't steal from you, Jan. I know you're going to talk about it.
Yeah,
But,
it's
but I just want to tell people resilience has this feeling of I go low and then I have to get myself back. No, take this opportunities. You can't control that bad things are going to happen. They will. COVID happens, war happens, it will happen. But we have the choice to say, what are we going to do? We have to accept. And then how do we move forward? And for me today, resilience, post traumatic growth, everything is about how do we move forward? How do we have a good feeling come out of these hard times so that resilience doesn't feel, oh, it's a constant battle just to get back to normal? That feels tiring. I want you, when you have hard times, to go, yeah, this is hard, this sucks, and that you feel an energy coming out because you know, despite the hard time, because of the hard time, you're going to have something great come through. And we're going to talk today, or I have a list of things to do because I know you're going to ask, but Lisa and Jan, how do I do that? That sounds so nice. I want that. How? I have a whole list of things you can do, very practical tips. So we're going to go through that for you today. But
yeah.
Jan, I would love to hear. Yeah.
All right. Before I will continue, I have a special guest. We have a special guest today. Giga Turk. I know him probably like almost for 20 years. He
Wow.
used to be minister in Slovenian government. He's a very nice, person. So especially Giga, welcome, welcome.
Welcome.
All right. So yeah, I ask Lisa because we talk after the last live session. What can be the next? And I said, well, we talk a lot about endurance and resilience in sport. Why should not we talk about resilience in the whole life, right?
Yeah.
I look at Wikipedia, what they say about resilience. Well, it's basically your ability to bounce back from adversity. It's kind of, hey, it's, as you said, we return back to the zero where you were before. Adapt change. Our brain hates change. This is why people, our brain likes status quo. And that's why it's hard for people to move on in their lives. It's hard to decide, and it's hard to face some challenges, right? If you are resilient, it doesn't mean that you are like avoiding tough situations. It's the other way. It's the other way around, right? So I'm always saying, right? You talk about like post-traumatic stress disorder, or post-traumatic growth, right? Because whatever is happening in your life, you can grow out of that, or you can get really post-traumatic stress disorder, right? What Nietzsche was saying, what is not killing you, it's strengthening you, right, in your life. And I think victims are complaining all the time, Fighters, the real, heroes, are asking new questions. What can I learn from that situation? Okay. What is new in this, right? Well, what I can, apply for the future and stuff like that. So it doesn't mean that you try to avoid challenge. That means, that you are able to learn from, everything. Interestingly enough, I was, following, obviously, because I coach one of the best tennis players now. Yuri is like 36 in the world. Yuri Lehecka. He won yesterday in Stuttgart. And I watched, Djokovic final against Ruud, and then Iga Świątek, Polish player, number one. She was playing Czech player in the final, right? It was a very, tight match. And then I follow some interview with Iga Świątek mental coach, Diana, I think, Abramovic. I don't know if I have a right name, but Abramovic is the surname. And what she said, which was quite interesting, she said, I need to prepare Iga for the failures as much as I need to prepare her for the wins. Because if you are like 21 years old and you are number one in the world, I mean, everybody's like around you, you are under the huge pressure. So you need to be resilient. Absolutely. Absolutely. To face, and you need to figure out, hey, should I speak the journalist or not? There are a lot of, sponsors talking to and so on. Interestingly enough, in my view, if you look back to the history, the first guy who really looked deeply in the topic of resilience and, mental toughness was Buddha, in my view. Right. And I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about psychological part of the Buddha, because he was basically saying that we suffer because we are attached to the past, that we are not able to accept what happened, which is like, if you think about it, logically, you cannot change the past. Okay, there's no way you can change the past. There's no way you can change it. You can only, accept it, right, and move on. This is it. And the part of the brain which is like, pushing us to really not accept the past, it's amygdala, and it's not logical part of the brain. It's emotional part of the brain. That's we are attached to the past. And if you are not able to accept it, logically you would say, yeah, I need to accept it, I need to learn, I need to move on. If you are not accepting the past, then you are a victim of your failures or whatever. Okay. If you accept the past, then you can really emerge out of that situation as a hero, learn from that and go. And that's what, Djokovic is doing during his game. He's, amazing, right? So this is a big thing. So that's kind of the, intro. I have a lot of, another notes here. Obviously, I have some problems, guys, with my monitor. Lisa, can you still see me?
I can still see you, hear you.
Okay, I have two monitors. I have too many monitors, I have like big monitor and I have a, PC, but the camera on the big monitor is working. So should be okay. I just...
All good. All good. And I really think you've said something which is super important, which is, as we go through resilience, there's actually, people don't really recognize this. The very first step in resilience is about having hope for the future.
Exactly.
It does not mean you like your present. It does not mean, you just said, you have to accept it.
But you believe. You believe that the future it's going to be better. Absolutely.
That there's a possibility that it could be better. You don't even have to know exactly what better looks like in the moment, but you have to hold out the hope that it could. And here's the thing. Many people that I work with, they're like, I'm resilient. Yeah, I accept the past. Yeah, but I wish it had been better, and I wish it had been different, and I should have been, and I made this. And I'm like, hold on. You did not just accept it. You are still fighting it. You're just saying the words, I've accepted it. So the first root of building a resilience is really about, how do I actually accept what the present moment is, particularly when it's hard, and most particularly when it's something I feel is my mistake or my doing, that I want to blame myself for it, right? So actually accepting comes from a place of, very first, many of you who are on here might be perfectionists or recovering perfectionists. I know at least one is my partner with me always on this side. And so here's the thing about it. The very first step in getting to acceptance is forgiving yourself and others in this situation. Whatever has happened, you have to start with forgiveness and having some self-compassion. And I can give, if you want more tips on how to do forgiveness and self-compassion, write it in the notes. I'm happy to go deeper there. But this is actually the root.
I call it sometimes, unconditional acceptance. You need, or unconditional love, if you will. You need to accept who you are at that moment, because you at this moment, you cannot be the other person, right? Because it's the past. Karma is the past. Karma, where you are today, it's like the present moments. It's the summary of the present moments since your birth, right? You can change the future, but not in the future. You can change the future from now on in each and every present moment. This is it.
Yes. Yeah. And many of us do things that is, we really regret it, or we don't like the outcomes that came from it. You can still not like it. And this is the key word. That's all true. This is a hard situation. This sucks. And maybe the very first part of that next sentence is, I forgive myself for. And I don't care if you're a tough guy, I have mental strength. You have to learn to forgive yourself and let it go. That happened in the past. Can I learn from it? Great. Can I do better in the future? Yeah. Maybe I didn't show up the way I wanted to. No problem. Forgive. Don't treat yourself in any different way than you would a friend. If a friend makes a mistake, you wouldn't be like, you're so stupid, I can't believe, oh my God, nobody's ever gonna like you. You would never say that to a friend. So why do you allow yourself to say it to yourself? It's crazy when you think about it. So you speak to yourself like you would speak to a friend. I forgive you, you move on. And again, accept you can't change the past, and then look for the hope. Look for the future, look for the learning, look for the possibility for how to move forward. And it doesn't need to be a big moving forward. This is also really important. Take the one small next step forward. You need to gain momentum. Don't feel something feels too hard, too far away. If you really mess something up and you're feeling depressed and you want to sit in bed all day, then one big thing you might do is just get up and go to the shower. That's it. Then there's a little hope for the next step, a little hope for the next step, until you can start to regain again.
Interestingly enough, on Friday, we had a meeting with Jiří's coach, me as a mental coach, and Thomas Berdik. Thomas was for many years number 7 in the world, the Czech origin tennis player. And he was at his best, he was number 4 even. And what Thomas told Jiří, he said, look, your goal in the match is not, first goal is not beat the other guy. Your goal is be at your best at this specific, match. Every day you need to play with the cards you have, okay? And you need to be good enough to beat the guy. But first of all, it is about you. You need to concentrate on yourself. And then because, we were discussing kind of, because if you are competitive, you can, compare all the time yourself with the other people, or you can say, hey, I want to be a better version of me every day. And sometimes it's like scale, right? We are not here or there. It's somewhere on the scale. But obviously those people who are long-term, really successful, they concentrate mainly what they can change in their behavior, their performance, and so on, right? So let me now touch what are the components of the resilience. Okay, the first part I would like to talk about, emotions. How, because if you are not managing your emotion, right? Because what is emotion? Emotion, emovere means energy from Latin, energy in move, more or less. I'm always saying that emotion is where your thoughts are touching your body. If your emotions are positive, then you have a lot of energy. If it's negative, there's a lot of cortisol in performance, whether it's like physical or cognitive performance or whatever, it's gone, right? So it is about managing your emotions, and there is no way, everybody is having some negative emotions, some doubts. I made a post today and I said, well, real champions, they have also doubts, but they learn how to doubt they doubts, right? This is it. That's what you can do. You can be doubtful about your doubt, right? You can always ask if you have some negative emotions or negative thoughts. This doesn't matter, because those are feelings which are caused by negative thoughts. You can always ask, like, is it logical? Is it logical? Do I have any proof, right? And is it good for me to think like that? If it's all answers are no, then guess what? It's some bullshit bingo, right? So it is really about regulating your emotions during the tough times. Everybody, even Djokovic, sometimes when he's playing, he's like ballistic during one ball, but the second ball, his eyes are like focused and he's absolutely cool and he's at his best. Some tennis players, one ball means like 3 or 4 lost games, and it's gone, right? So that's emotional. Then we have like cognitive, which is really like how you are managing positive mindset. Positive mindset doesn't mean that you are unrealistic, whatever, but you are, optimistic, right? You are optimistic about yourself, kind of, okay, maybe I will, even if I'm playing, if I'm a tennis player or manager, even if I do my best job, chances are that I may lose because my opponents are better still, right? But I think my kind of the goal needs to be, I need to be best version of me today. Point, okay? And you need to adapt new circumstances. The problem is that sometimes we are like preparing strategy, whatever, and if it doesn't work, right? We are changing it, but without any like context or whatever. You in my view, whatever you do in your life, you need to believe in process, in your habits, in your routines, and so on. And you learn. Some routines are maybe wrong. You learn as you go. But unless you believe in the process, you will change all the time, and it doesn't work, right? So I think that's another point. Then obviously it's about social, because you can still be like emotionally resilient, cognitively resilient, but you need to have connection with the other people, ask them for support, and so on. Okay. The one thing which I realized, and that's how I built like my resilience, I'm able, since like 32 or 33 years old, to admit my own mistake, but I would add the word publicly, okay? To say publicly, like in the TV, because they always go like, hey, tell us about the successes of your, athletes or whatever. I'm okay, fine. I will, but I will also talk to you about some failures, which we did. We learn from that, right? Because if you are like open about your mistakes, your colleagues, whether it's like sport team or, working team, they will start to be also open about their own mistakes, and you create learning environment, right? This is it, right? Where you learn from your mistakes. And the last but not least, it's a physical resilience, right? Because your brain, your mind, and your body are connected, right? So if your mind works very well, your body, and the other way, around. That's why like physical well-being, it's really important. And I tell you what is the issue. Okay, I think today we go to fitness center, we like train a little bit, whatever. Okay, we have technology of the 21st century, the stress of the 21st century, the pressure, and we have a brains of the people like 10,000 years ago. Still, we are not trained how like average people don't understand how their brain works. That's why they suffer a lot, right? And I'm talking like you talk about hope, right? If you have like depression, like my depression, it was like, there was at the borders between like dying and living. You are losing your hope because your logical part of the brain does not work, and your emotional part of the amygdala is streaming all negativity, whatever. It is a paradox that amygdala, which is supposed to save your life, right? Because you're the first, first goal of your brain is survival. That amygdala is in fact killing people. The reason why people are committing suicide is the fact that it's unbearable for them because the logical part of the brain is switched off and they believe on all thoughts they have. I mean, majority, ladies and gentlemen, if you believe all of your thoughts, you should definitely
don't do it. Your fear is your biggest liar. Please.
You need to distinguish which thoughts are facts and which thoughts are just the thoughts, right? Because otherwise you spend time in the circles all the time and in negativity. Yeah.
Yes. I want to add so many things to that, Jan, but our chat boxes are blowing up. I think we should bring some of these questions up and already start answering.
Absolutely.
Starting up at the top with your good friend, Ziga. Have I said it right?
Yeah.
Ziga. Americans are famous for being awful at pronouncing names. So
no worries.
It's in my DNA. So if you want to bring this question up, I'm new to all of this to understand.
I will do that. I will bring that question.
So to understand what you understand as resilience, what in your view is the opposite of resilience? Is it brittleness? So I have an answer, which I would say, okay. You everybody, and wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you can do this with me. I would say resilience is this idea that you can move forward. So you physically feel your body moving forward. By the way, you do this when you're about to run a race, when your sympathetic nervous system is up and you're ready to go. You're ready to take action. You lean forward. You're interested. And I would say the opposite of resilience is giving up. So you lean back, you just are the victim, you're letting things happen to you. You don't feel the control of moving forward. And your body knows this. Because when you sit back and you're going, oh, I don't know, I'm disinterested, I don't have the hope. This is what the opposite of resilience is letting the bad shit take you down. Instead of going, okay, there's bad things happening and you stepping in and moving forward.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything to add there? I don't know.
No, look, what we know, that if you are in the tough situation and you are nervous, you are under pressure and you do 4 steps ahead, your, cortisol goes down by 40%. You need to, it is a signal for your brain. I did some videos for, my tennis players over the weekend, what they need to do between the balls, and if they are do the changeover, the sides, right? And, it's the same in life. You need to, whatever was the last ball, whether you won the ball or you lost the ball, there is a new ball. And that ball is the most important thing in your life if you are a professional tennis player, right? It's like there is a next meeting with the next customer or whatever in reality. Yeah. So you need to, and I call it mental jingle, you need to basically cut what happened, whether it was successful or not, it doesn't matter. You can, judge afterwards, right? So you need to cut. And if you put, your rackets to the, non-dominant hand, if you are like play by right hand to the left, that means, hey, there is, something new. Today, in fact, I had a lunch with one of my, guys who is doing, foil, the fencing. And he was at the last Alexander Shupenic. And he at the last Olympic Games, he was bronze medal. And obviously, we wanted to go, a little bit up in Paris. And we talk about this effect that, when he was fighting for the bronze medal, he basically changed his, dress for that specific, match. He started to listen different music. So there was, because he remembered, I said, Alexander, you need to do something which will cut in your brain. There is something, you know, new starting now. Okay. And that's exactly what he did, you know, right? So and he won, you know, he was like golden medal, you know.
Good.
There is a Erica Herbert, many questions, but many comments. Let's start first with Wojciech. How to learn to believe in myself? What? Go ahead.
Where to start? Where to start?
I have a whole lesson. In fact, funny enough, some company requested from me seminar about resilience, so I put together some, you know, stuff in English, so I can, you know, use it now.
Amazing. I mean, look, to believe in yourself. I coach people. We can go very deep. We can talk about your, you know, your childhood. We can talk about what are your patterns and stuff. But I truly believe just believing in yourself, just say, screw it. I'm going to believe in myself. And I know that sounds like, yeah, okay, you just say it. But I mean, no, throw out all these ideas that you have to fit social norms and just do it. Go out there, show up with the body language. I know you feel scared. You say it's okay that I feel scared, and I'm going to show up like I belong here. And you just keep telling yourself, I belong here. Why shouldn't I? Not, oh, I shouldn't because, no, there's no reason why I shouldn't. And you start behaving that way. And then you will find out very quickly, people will treat you differently. If you show up like you belong there, then they treat you like you belong there. And then you will start to have the social validation, which is what you're looking for. I don't believe in myself because I'm worried, are other people going to judge me? What are they going to say if I raise my hand? What if I ask a stupid question? Opposite. Don't wait for them to give you approval. Stand in the approval, and then you will receive it. And then you have exactly what you wanted, but you're not in the victim chair. You're in the creator chair.
Because we have in our brains called mirror neurons, and other people are mirroring. So if you are like mirroring, hey, I'm, you know, positive, I'm like, you know, open gestures and so on, you will get it back. Okay, now there's a little chart here on my paper. Self-confidence. If you think about it, you know, if we will trust to each other with Lisa, if we will, you know each other, right? And that's the same with self-confidence or self-trust. It's the same thing. You know, so first of all, it is about self-awareness. And unfortunately, you know, that self-awareness, which in my view is the most important skill you should have, it's not taught even at the best, you know, schools I'm teaching, you know, right? So self-awareness is really to understand who you are and who you are not, okay? Then if you are self-aware, you can start to build your self-confidence, belief in your, you know, skills, and get better and better. It doesn't mean that I think I'm self-confident, but self-confidence is not one point, it's the process. And while I'm self-confident, I'm not saying that I'm winning like all, you know, matches or all deals or whatever. Some people are like, last week, somebody refused me because I was not, you know, available for some briefing or whatever. They said, no, we don't want to. And that's fine. You know, it doesn't matter, you know, to me. There are, you know, many other guys, but this is it. So self-confidence is not one point, it's a process. And as you learn, you're getting, you know, more and more self-confident. Okay. Then if you are self-confident, then we talk about so-called self-worth, you know, the way you think about yourself, because, you know, we are, you know, human beings. We love stories. That's the way we learn the best, because they call it in neuroscience, neurons which fire together, wire together. If there is a context in what we are, you know, saying, there's some story, you know, well, give you a teaser a little bit. How many of you guys on the call remember Mendeleev, you know, the table from the chemistry? How many, you know, all of those, you know? Nobody. Okay. How many of you can remember Cinderella fairy tale? Everybody. right? And this is it. So, and that's the same with our own stories. We are creating stories about ourselves, okay? And if your story is like, hey, I'm not, able to do it, and I rather do, some lower job or whatever, I play it safe, it's fine. The question is if you will be happy. Erica is talking about the fact there are so many negative people and it's a tough time. Times are always as they are, okay? I tell you what, I was running huge business for Microsoft, right? And there were two really deep crises during my time. And people were also telling me, oh, time is tough. I said, yeah, the cake is getting smaller. You need to have a bigger market share, to be bigger pie of the cake. This is it, right? This is it. So you need to, if the times are tougher, you need to try harder, easy as it is. Look, during the COVID, I could get some support from government. I didn't receive, any dollar or check round or whatever, because I was still able to do at least some stuff like whatever. I got, the money from, investment, whatever. But I survive basically still from my online, business, whatever. You need to, and I'm like 61, right? You need to be creative. Now they are talking, should we go to the pension 68 or 64? Ladies and gentlemen, that's the wrong question. You know what is the right question? What those people will do, because artificial intelligence will kill a lot of, jobs. And you should be ready to basically, form your problem and ask a lot of questions, because that's what artificial intelligence will do. Now, obviously, you may say it doesn't work that much, open AI, whatever. It's pretty good, I can tell you, even the free version. And it's improving exponentially, and that exponential is really it is a big one, right? So this is it. This story about it, sometimes it's called internal dialogue, right? So why the guy or the lady talking to you, it's you. Mostly you talk to yourself. You are CMO. It doesn't mean chief marketing officer, but chief mind officer. You are general manager of your mind, right? And it depends what you are putting there. Your mind can help you, right? Your mind can also behave like a seesaw, shit in, shit out. And if you put shit in your mind, you cannot expect sugar tort, sugar cake in your life with the cream on it. There's no way. You know what is it? You are living in Switzerland. Come on, you know what is the sugar tort?
Yes, but we love Schwarzwälder-Torte, like forest cake.
Sprichst du Deutsch, right?
Yeah.
Okay, or anyway, so that's the third point. It's like third was this story. And the last one is your self-expression, right? Because if you feel, hey, my story is good, then you can go and have a good job or create a company or whatever, and really self-express yourself and be very often in the flow, right? Because I think the issue today is that people are very often doing something they hate, right? There's only 16% people around the world doing, according to Gallup, doing, stuff they like. And interestingly enough, I was last week invited. Mr. Křetinsky is one of the richest, person in Czech Republic, and he made a lot of investment. He owns like 20% of West Ham United. Really, very successful person. And he invited, his like managers from Europe, like from the European operations, right? And I spoke to them about the teams, how the good teams are created, and how the winning teams are created, and so on. And some gentleman from Ireland asked me, what does it take to move from good to great? Which is good question, right? Because there are a lot of people who are kind of, hey, I kind of have a good life, but is it great life or is it a great job? And I think it's about three basic things. Number one, total obsession about what you do. You need to be crazy. You need to laugh, what do you do? And that's like my case. And I was like, you may say, oh, you were selling software for 22 years and you were working with Gates, whatever. That's true. But I love people, and what I did specially, I moved people on the up, right? I really was able to unlock, that organizational potential and every individual potential. So obsession is number one. Curiosity and learning is number 2, because if you are curious, you learn, you are creative, but you can also cope much better with the stress if you are curious. That's clear, because curious people, they have more questions, right? And number 3 I put there in my answer is resilience. It is, because sometimes you don't know. A lot of people, they try once, they are like, hey, they have a high expectations, and their reality is not there yet, and they are lowering expectations, and that's wrong. You need to work on your reality. You don't know whether you can get there or not unless you try. Okay. And the last point, there is a great book, What Got You Here Will Not Get You There. And we've got this discussion with Yiri. I said very openly, what got you to number 36 in the world will not get you to number 10 or top 10, in the world, right? So, which means like you need to think twice and you need to push more. And it's the same with me. I mean, I don't know. I know how to move. He was like 652 years ago. Now he's 36. I know how to move a player to the top 50, but I don't know how to move to the top 10. But I, learn from the best guys, I study and we will see, right? Yes. But you need to believe. You need to believe in yourself. That was the question.
Well, that's what I was going to say is that actually the things you need to say. So, Wojciech, I kind of had said, just act like you believe in yourself and the rest will follow. Not really fake it, but really just show up. I do believe in myself. The thing is, when you can trust, look, I can learn things, which is what Jan just said. I don't know how to do it yet, but I'll learn it.
Yeah.
And you trust, I've been through worse. I can handle anything. Mistakes will happen. I'm not going to let them hold me back. I'm just going to keep moving forward. This is actually where the self-confidence comes from. Again, Jan's not perfect. I'm not perfect. We don't show up going, oh, I know everything in the world. But we show up confidently because we know, hey, we're fast learners. We've had a lot of experiences. We can figure this one out too, right? And that is where confidence comes from, not from knowing everything in advance, not from being the expert in everything in advance. That's impossible. Trusting in yourself to move forward.
And you know what? And then look, during the COVID, I try hard to get very close to Michael Jordan, okay, to learn from him. But it was almost, impossible. I said, well, let's try something different. I said, who was close to Michael Jordan? Tim Grover. Very easy. I paid like for 1 month. It was like 100 people there, but I was like very active, asking a lot of questions. So we've got some, 101, $400 with the guy who for 15 years was coaching, Michael Jordan and Kobe, right? He was having those two, and I learned from that guy. He wrote a couple of books. I learned so many things, right? And the same thing, the group we have, the fellow group at the Harvard Coaching Institute, that's the same thing, right? So you can, and you learn from the best, you contribute also. So I think it is about, learning, and you should not be afraid. I'm the guy who lived for 20 years in, village. If you would look into my, CV up to the 30 years, so you would say that guy would be like, okay, maybe some engineer, in some factory or whatever, but not the president for Europe in large corporation. And so this is it. And it's not, this is nothing like egoistic or arrogant. It was a lot of work and a lot of, learning. But the thing is, if you really trust the process, that and you trust yourself that you can do it, you can do whatever you want. And if you like what you do, you are moving really fast, because very often you are in the flow, and in the flow you are learning 450% faster. You know it. If you like something and you learn more and more new things about that subject, it goes really fast.
Yes. Now, I have some things on my list. Do I get to share them too?
Let's go. Let's go.
I'm excited.
Now we go some recommendations how to be more resilient. Yeah.
Yes, because here's where I want people to know, where do you usually get lost in the process of resilience? We said, okay, we accept, truly accept, forgive. It was what it was. It is what it is. And now we have hope to move forward. Here's where most people get stuck. Their emotions. This is what Jan was talking about earlier. Your fight or flight, your protection, your threat detection will go off. That horrible voice in your head that you think is you. It's not you. It's a pathological liar in your head.
Exactly.
All it does is tell you all these lies, and it has a good intention. It's trying to keep you safe, but it is manipulative. It will say anything and everything to try to get you to stay where it wants you to stay. It is not you. It is not true. It is not a rational assessment. It is the liar who will say anything to keep you. It's like a toxic relationship.
Absolutely.
So I want you to really be clear. You do not have to listen to the voice. The voice is not actually correct. And the more you get used to, I'm going to override. Thank you, voice, for trying to keep me safe. I'm good. I'm going to send you, it sounds like you're stressed out. You need a vacation. Go to Monaco, have a nice summer holiday, and then I run my life. And the more you do that, the lower that voice becomes, because then the voice is, oh, okay, that was kind of safe. Never mind. I don't have to pop out next time.
Right.
So then that's how you build your comfort zone. So when we talk about the resilience, usually when a bad event happens, you're out of your comfort zone. You're in negative emotions, which all of us try to avoid, right? So you're in this space where you're uncomfortable, you're sad, you're broken, you're whatever, you're grieving. And we want you to move forward. Here's the most important thing you need to know about dealing with your emotions. Like we said, do not let emotions run your life. Do not let fear stop you, put you in victim mode where you just sit back and life happens to you. But, and maybe Jan will slightly disagree with me on this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Please do not go overboard on mental strength. I'm fine. Everything's fine. The house is burning down, but I'm fine. It's fine. I can handle everything. Jan knows when we ignore it for too long, because we have too much mental strength and we don't listen to the body and the clues that the body's trying to share, at some point it gets too far where we then can't have the mental strength anymore.
No, look, I agree with you, and it's even worse because you may call it mental strength or mental energy, but those devices are taking a lot of mental energy from us because it's all about attention and focus, right? Because if the tennis player is playing with the mobile phone and scrolling all the time, his mental energy goes down, like just from the beginning, right?
Yes.
And it is a huge problem because we, as Lisa rightly said, in the past, stress, like the input of the stress was from outside in, right? What our brain is doing, it's called, exteroception. So you are basically sensing, your senses are scanning what is happening around you.
Outside.
And interoception is what is happening inside you, and you are comparing it. So then your brain is predicting or correcting, doing those two things. Okay. In the past, your brain was like sensing the stress around you. Today, stress is, happening in your brain. If you are like sitting and you are like pissed off, there's nobody around you. It's just your thoughts, right? And majority of those thoughts are just the thoughts. Those are not facts, right? So let's talk now a little bit how you can build those, resilience muscles or strengths, if you will. Number one, it's about self-awareness. Try to really understand who you are. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are like triggers, for negative emotions, for the positive emotions, and so on. The other thing is success leaves clues. The same, failure leaves the clues. So you should study what happened to you and what happened to the other people. Your brain works like that, that if you think, you don't need to live it through as experience, because your brain believes what you think, right? So this is it. So you can easily understand, and everybody got some talents, because talent is, genetical information. Okay, so that's number one. Understand who you are. Okay, you can do easily strengths finder test, for example. It's like $20, right? It's from Gallup. Or you can do something which is easier, and you can ask yourself, hey, if that activity, is it that activity my talent? Usually, if it's true, then you have a good results, right? You have a good results in this specific activity. That specific activity, because you have a talent, those are your genes, you can do it intuitively. Okay, you can do it intuitive. That's number two. Okay. Then number three, you like it so much that whenever you finish it, you are like improving all the time. And last point, whenever you finish it, you are looking forward to do it again. That's, if those four criteria, are true, then it's probably the talent. That's some number one. Number two, look around, because Erica said there are a lot of negative people and so on. I think it is up to us to create an environment, because it's up to you. You are doing three big decisions in your life. Number one, what you will do. Okay, so it's good to have to do something from your heart. Number one. Number two, who will be your life partner? Very important decision. Very often, almost always influenced by our emotions, but that's fine, right? And number three, where you will, live, and what kind of the environment you will be around you, right? Because if you have around you like positive environment, it has a lot of positive impact in your brain. Your brain is like chemistry, If you are in a good environment, there is a good team, you use your strengths and so on. Endorphin is released, dopamine, you feel good, and it has also impact on your immunity and your health. If it's the other way around, there is a toxic. There are toxic relationships.
I was just going to say, can you do it? Toxicity.
I can, it's enough. If somebody is like, doing it before me, I can do it. So relationship, there's a cortisol, and it has a bad impact on your, health. So that, social network and social support, if you will, it's very important. Then, like, practical stuff like physical exercise, what you eat, good sleep, relaxation techniques like meditation, enough light and so on. It has a lot of impact on, your mood, your feelings, and so on. Okay. Then it's about being, curious, and about problem solving, skills. Because a lot of people are not able to take decisions because they are afraid that they are not able to follow up, right? And we are always like, afraid of the fear of other people's opinion, of what if I will fail. Okay. Whenever, look, I was a couple of times in the newspapers with some, failure or whatever, and I was always like, hey, tomorrow, there's always tomorrow. Tomorrow there is some bigger fuck up. Come on, right? If I will not react, that's absolutely fine. And that's what I'm telling my athletes or whatever, right? Because people are like betting on their results. I'm like, don't look at it at all what they are, saying, right? Because for example, if Yuri is winning, oh, that's the great guy. If he's losing one match at the French Open, you are coaching loser. You should not go. It's a bullshit. They never achieve anything, those guys, right? Makes no sense. Exactly. So developing, problem solving and, curiosity skills. And then, the positive mindset. I think the positive mindset kind of I can do it. And that, positive self-talk, even in the tough times, it is good. And again, I'm not saying that I don't have negative thoughts or whatever. I have. But in the past, I could spend like half of the day on some, stupid negative thought. Today, it's probably a couple of minutes, and then I'm able to move on.
And this is what I want to share. That's so important.
Erika is saying in Czech, thanks, tomorrow will be good day. Yeah.
Yes. But this is the whole point. And actually, by the way, I have mini mantras that when I'm getting stressed
Let's
out
go.
or
Let's
I
go.
notice myself in a negative cycle, I just stop and I tell myself, would Donald Trump care? And the reason I tell that to myself is because that's the person who's had so many scandals, right? He literally was on tape talking about women and how he grabs them by the private parts. And most politicians would have said, "Ooh, I stepped down. I'm sorry. It was inappropriate." And he was like, "Yeah, and people forgot about it or moved on or didn't care. Even if
Exactly.
you remember it, it didn't stop him from
Look,
being
Lisa, one
successful."
of my athletes, there was a World Cup. I will not, name the guy. There was a World Cup, and he was in semifinal, fantastic, and in the final, unfortunately, he was the last one in the final. But he was still okay, and he was not happy. And I said, "Okay, you lost race. How many people died?"
Yeah.
You know what? How many people died? Nobody. Nobody died. So what? So what?
Absolutely. And when I'm talking to people in business, I always say to them, calm down. We're not curing cancer, right? Like nobody's going to die. It's fine. Relax. So there are
Peter
tomorrow.
is my grateful friend from the Gallup community, and he's doing fantastic job in Slovenia. Peter Balog. Great thoughts. Tomorrow a new fuck up is coming. Let's go and let's
Go and let's nail it. But you've
absolutely,
got
absolutely.
that's the attitude. People
Best
and
regards,
earlier
best regards, Peter.
earlier we had Erica saying, yeah, but is having a positive mindset something for wealthy people or people who have leisure time, people who can do that? For the people who have a really hard life, how could they possibly have a positive mindset? And the answer is your circumstances do not matter. You're rich, you're poor, you have a job, you don't have a job, you have a family. None of that matters. The mindset is the choice you make. And yes, for some people, naturally, it's easier. So some people might make it look really easy. Like Jan's like, hey, just have a positive mindset. Of course, he's a positive mindset guy, right? So we can look to you as a role model, but really what happened behind the scenes is you cultivated it so it looks easy. And you said, look, what's your morning routine? Are you getting enough sleep? How's your lighting situation? Are you on your phone all the time? He's taken the time, but everybody can take those steps. And the positive mindset doesn't just come, it's a constant practice. The
Exactly.
negative voice, the threat voice will come. Unless you have a brain injury, it will come. It's going to protect you. Your body's going
Yeah.
to want you to
Listen,
thrive.
your brain is neuroplastic, which means the synapses, like whatever person you are today, it's reflected by your synapses. Those are connections connecting your, neurons, like fluid connections, enabling, chemical and electrical signals. Okay. Now, if you think, oh, I think I have a slightly negative, mindset, right? You may start to go and build some positive, routines. It's not like, be unrealistic, but to have a like positive, view. For example, I know that you need, if you are a player or if you are, athlete, you need to encourage yourself mainly if the things are not going very well. If the things are going very well, you are in the flow, and all of those chemicals, all of those hormones are there, and you feel good. But you can influence, like yesterday, Izzy lost the first set. And I said, you need to smile, even if you lost. So he started to smile, and he was like cool. And then he won the whole, match, right? And as Lisa rightly said, we are not defined by the situations. We are defined by our decisions, because whatever is the situation, it makes no meaning before your mind will put some sticker on it, right? They did some training with the US Navy, with the SEAL operation, the toughest unit. And there was a first group. That group was told, this situation is a threat. The other group of the soldiers was told, this situation is a challenge. The first group, performance went significantly down. The other group performance was significantly up. And they measure what happened in their brains. First group, cortisol, because they were, they were stressed by the word threat. Okay. If it's challenge, it is the same situation. We just put different sticker. If it's a challenge, it's about testosterone. So you need to be, the words are having a meaning, and the words, and especially like our, internal dialogue creates, chemistry in your brain. And chemistry can be good for you and can be, very negative. This is it. And the problem is, and you should believe me, because I was like deeply depressed for 6 months, 3 months in the mental hospital, suicidal thoughts, start really bad. If you are depressed, your logical part of the brain, neocortex, is like switch off. And then amygdala is, working on all, negativity, and you start to believe in all thoughts. And that's mainly reason, and it's unbearable. That's why people are committing suicides.
And I think you've said something that's so important that people need to realize, and actually answers the question that Wojciech has about how to avoid negative thoughts and when they flow from the workday into the evening. And when the whole point of why we have burnout now, why we struggle with resilience, is because we are overcoming all the time and it feels hard, and we don't ever actually, we have chronic stress, right? It's like you're being chased by a lion, but then, you escape from the lion and then you can calm down. But we don't have that in the modern world. You see the lion, but then you see the lion and you see the lion and you see a new lion and now you see a tiger. There's never a closure to the stress cycle, physically for the body and therefore mentally to the body. So I want to answer very concretely, very specifically. We'll pause for a second.
This is from Peter. It's good. If you are having self-doubt, check your pulse. If it's there, you have something to be thankful. Absolutely. You are still living. Absolutely. Yeah.
As long as I'm alive, everything else is figure-outable. I always say that. That's the starting point. I have hope for everything else from there. If I'm dead, I'm dead, right? But what I wanted to say for Wojciech's question, and for many others, when you're in chronic stress, one of the best things you can do, yes, you can sleep, yes, you can exercise, everybody knows that. Whether we do it or not is a different story. But what I want people to get used to is having a way to close the stress cycle. So same way, if someone passes away, if someone dies, you hold a funeral for them, because you need a process where you have a completion for that relationship. At the end of every day, even if you work from home like I do, you need a completion moment, ritual, to close out work from home. It might be listening to music. It might be, I don't know, drinking a coffee. It might be cleaning up your desk, whatever it is, but there needs to be something. Some people write down, okay, let me write down all the stuff I need to do for tomorrow. I've completed it. Now it's on my desk, and now whatever works for you, but you need a ritual every day that signals complete.
Absolutely.
And just same with stress as well. So if you are going through a stress moment, one of the things you can do to properly bring it down is do 10 jumping jacks. Not because I want you to do physical fitness, but I want your body to get a stress.
You know what is jumping jacks? Like legs are doing like that, and you go, yeah.
And then once you've done your jumping jacks, your body's up, and then it knows to calm down from jumping jacks. So you've done something physical to help your mental close the cycle. You could also breathe, etc. But I want everyone to keep in mind, you need to close stress cycles regularly in order for your body to go, okay, this is now a resting period and not just chronic stress. Resilience gets harder and harder when you have chronic stress, because you have lower abilities to, resources to cope with stress, because your parasympathetic nervous system is shot. That rest and digest and relax is gone. Yeah. So you need to build those reserves up. So when a moment comes where you need resilience, you go, cool, I got this. I can handle this. And that is where many people get lost. They have no reserves. It's like willpower. I hope most of us at 7 a.m. for breakfast don't say, man, I really need a cookie, right? But by 3 p.m., you're really tired. You're having your coffee. You need a little boost. You see a cookie. You're not like, oh, no way. You're like, ooh, I kind of want that cookie. Willpower is gone at that point. The ability to choose is lowered. Same with resilience. If we're not constantly closing out chronic stress and having an ability to have some calm state within us. But resilience is within us. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I do, for example, with the tennis players. because there is like 25 seconds break only. Okay, so what if you are like putting your racket to the non-dominant hand? That means like, hey, there's something finishing now. Then I'm telling them, breathe in, breathe out to cool down. And then you can look over to cool down your eyes, and then you should look at the center of your racket to concentrate again, and then you go for a serve or you go for a return, whatever. Wojciech, that would be last question: how to avoid negative thoughts from the work days during the nights? And I will follow on what Lisa said. I have some exercise for you, Wojciech, what you can do, kind of and that cycle of the stressful day or whatever. You can basically remind yourself what was going well. You can even have your journal and put it down if you want. Okay, so remind yourself what was going well that day. The second R means repair what was not going well. So frame what was the issue, what was maybe some failures, whatever, and then reframe it for the future, how you can do it for the future, right? How you can do it for the future. And last point, imagine what you will do, next day, what the success looks like for the next day. And this is it. And you will basically finish in your, mind the day. Okay. That's number one. Number two, you should, unfortunately, I have it by my, bed, but you should definitely use like from 8:30, 9 o'clock. If you are like working on the PC, on the phone, whatever, you should have like the blue light blocking glasses, right? That because a lot of people, or even if you're looking at the TV, the same thing, right? Because otherwise, your brain may think 11 o'clock there is a morning, right? And you will not be able to sleep, and you will still start to think about it.
And by the way, can I add, there's a setting on your phone where you can put a nighttime and remove the blue light, and you can set it up automatically. So again, make habits easy for you. You set it up once, it happens automatically at a set time, and then you don't have that problem, right? Small things.
Exactly. And if still, like you cannot sleep, what works quite well for me, I go and I count and I, connect it to my breathing. Breathe in 30, breathe out 30, breathe in 29, breathe out 29, right? And it's like, routine, and it's monotonic, and, you'll fall asleep basically. But you should really start like finish the day by kind of, hey, this is it. This is what, happened good. This is what I learned, new stuff, and I know how to do it. And then even like dopamine is released, which means something finished. The dopamine is also motivating you to continue, basically, right? Dopamine is hormone for reward, but also for motivation to basically not give up. If we talk about resilience, dopamine is playing a very important role. Okay.
Yes.
Good.
We have a last long question from Barbara, and I'm wondering if we don't take this into our next session in 2 weeks and actually make a topic out of it. Because the last thing that I would add here is, with resilience, please, please, please do not think that you are alone. One of the biggest mistakes we make is we think, I need to be mentally tough. I need to be strong. I need to sort my crap out. I don't want to burden anyone else. Oh, I can't ask for help. It's weak, or whatever beliefs we have around asking for help. The very best thing you can do is reach out and connect to people. When you connect, again, hormonally, oxytocin, you let your love hormone go, you feel belonging, you feel connection, you feel hope again. Even that will help you to feel more resilient. Oh, this is a short-term thing. Oh, yes, work is hard, but I have my family at home. Reconnect with people. When you need resilience, do not go it alone. Be with your community, your relationships, your people, and you will feel much better.
Right. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for being with us. And we see you in 2 weeks from now.
Yes. Have a good one. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.